Hey, what's going on, guys? Brandon Wong here with Photobooth Supply Co. And today in this video, we're going to be talking to you about how to get a consistent looking gallery on your photo booth. So first you have to understand how these cameras work. So most of the time, you're going to be setting your salsa booth or any other photo booth on auto mode. And camera's auto works really great in the sense that it will always nail and get a pretty good shot. But if you look at these galleries here, you can see that almost every single gallery and all the images are very inconsistent. And the reason why is that the camera is always trying to fight to get the image to neutral gray. What does that mean? Well, if the backdrop is really bright, let's just say you have a white backdrop, it's going to want to try to bring that exposure down. So you're obviously overall going to have a darker image. Conversely, if you have a black backdrop, and even let's just say you're wearing dark clothes even, it's going to also want to bring the exposure up because you have a black backdrop, black clothing, it's going to want to bring that exposure a little higher. So what about different colors though? So let's just say you have an extreme color backdrop. Let's say a green backdrop, blue, yellow, purple. Well, what's going to happen there is, again, green is so extreme, it's going to say, wow, the camera's thinking there's a lot of green here. Let's try to bring in some more purple to balance that out because it's going to be the opposite color. So same thing with the blue backdrop. What's the opposite color of blue? It's yellow. So it's going to try to bring the image a little bit more yellow. So we're going to try to correct for this today, and I'm going to teach you how to do it in our Salsa photo booth. Now that we opened up Salsa, we're going to go to an event, and then we're going to the camera settings in that particular event. And in there, you can see one slider that says exposure compensation. So look at this white backdrop here. You can see that the image on this model is going to bring the image and exposure a lot darker. So we're going to get the exposure compensation slider and then move it to the right, which will bring the brightness up. So now that we have this black backdrop, again, you can see that it's actually overexposing the model at this point. So we're going to bring that exposure compensation slider all the way to the other side to make it a little darker. So the question you might ask is, how much do I do it? Well, that really depends on your eye, and it's really up to you. Just do what you think is best. If you really want to lock it in and have it be absolutely perfect, then you can go into manual settings by tapping this button here and then adjusting the ISO and the shutter speed. Now, I don't recommend this though for anyone who's not a photographer or anyone who doesn't know what they're doing. And there's plenty of videos on YouTube that will teach you the perfect triangle of exposure, aperture, and shutter speed to teach you how to get a perfect manual exposure. But again, I would only touch that if you are a pro. So now how do we deal with color? Well, let's just say we have this green backdrop set up here. Well, again, you're going to see that there's a lot of magenta or purple being added to the image because it's the exact opposite color of green. So what we're going to do here is, because the image is pulling towards magenta, we're actually going to add more green back into it. So kind of like the rule is, if you have a green backdrop, add more green. If you have a purple backdrop, add more purple. If you have a blue backdrop, add more blue. If you have a yellow backdrop, add more yellow. So this all is dependent on these two sliders here, the temperature and also the tint. So the tint controls green and magenta, and then the temperature controls blue and also yellow. So use a combination of those two sliders to make sure you get the perfect image. So now that we know how to adjust exposure compensation and also do manual white balance settings, you're on your way to have an extremely consistent looking gallery. So your clients are going to be blown away by how professional these images are and how consistent it looks throughout the entire page. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you guys want to learn how to start a photo booth business, check out photoboothsupplyco.com and make sure you like and subscribe this video.